Hey, this is Gatorex, and as you can tell, I took a bit of an extended break to just chill out after doing nearly daily uploads with Sword and Shield, but that's given me some time to sit and think more about what I want to talk about in terms of Sword and Shield. Now, specifically, what I want to talk about today is actually I just want to go over some of your comments to further discuss some of the ideas brought about from the Galar region and Kalos region being connected. This is just something very quick that I kind of want to do to get back into the groove of making videos while I'm also editing the podcast, which by the way, this episode should be out. There's a card up there, but let's dive into your guys' comments. So once again, here we are at my video, and let's just go ahead and scroll through the comments. Now, I did, of course, read all these comments as they came out, just because, you know, I have notifications on my phone, and I read the comments. I don't always reply to them or respond to them, like them, heart them. I try my best, but definitely let's go ahead and just go over some of them now. Let's see, just general discussion. This one was interesting, from Evolution. I get it. Says yes. But you know, in Magirna movie, that there is no area in X and Y that has Steam area, so I think that Kalos is somehow connected to Galar. I think I did mention this. No, I didn't actually mention it in the video, but it was something that I had thought about, is that, or no, I mentioned it in my trailer breakdown video, is that there is an area in the Galar region that looks very like industrial-like, and it did remind me of the Azoth Kingdom. That was featured in the Magirna movie. Now, again, I didn't see that movie. I'm a little behind on the Pokemon anime movies, which actually, you know, pretty behind since I didn't see that one. I mean, I saw I Choose You in theaters, so does that count for anything? But point is, you know, there was a city that was very gear-oriented. It was very focused on Magirna. And Magirna, we didn't exactly see a whole lot of it. Now, it was a really interesting Pokemon because it was technically a Generation 7 Pokemon in Sun and Moon, right? But it came out, it was revealed sort of during the time of like X and Y. It was that weird area where, like, you know, there was Magirna, and then there was like a complete Zygarde, which were both technically in Generation 7, but they related to Generation 6 in a way. The only reason, you know, Magirna had any relation to Generation 6 was because of the movie mostly, and that's how things are typically with legendaries and the movies. So I can't exactly say, like, it definitely gave me vibes of that. And we do know that Azoth is a thing in the Pokemon games, right? Because the anime and the games aren't necessarily the same. They've got some similarities, some differences, of course, and sometimes there's some overlap. But for the most part, I don't think that we'll exactly see, like, the Azoth Kingdom, for the most part, because I think, like, again, Azoth might be a little more related to, like X and Y or Kalos, right? It might have more of a connection to Kalos. But again, you know, that's the whole thing. If like Kalos and Galar are connected, then maybe that's something that could come into play. This specific area that we see in the Galar region in the trailer, that's all gear, like that has gears, and that's technologically, you know, steampunk basically. I don't think that that's going to be exactly Azoth, but it could definitely be that that's some sort of adaptation of it. Let's see, Phil Godin says the tunnel connects England and France by an underwater tunnel. Could be a thing. That makes sense. We did see underwater tunnels in Black 2 and White 2 with, I can't remember what it was called exactly, the underwater pass, but it connects Undella Town to, dang, what was that city called? I'm very terrible. Humalau City. There we go. See, I'm a proper Gen 5 fanboy. Potentially, because, you know, that was one of the big things that I brought up in that theory, and sorry, I'm adjusting my Snuggie, but that was one of the things I brought up in the theory, is that England and France aren't physically connected in real life, which the Kalos region is based off France, Galar region is based off of England or UK, that general area. England is in the UK, right? And then the UK is all. Point is, they're not physically connected in the real world, which these regions are based off of. So having some sort of underwater tunnel connecting them could work out, could make sense. If he means, like, you know, the tunnels that we've seen in the trailers, I don't know if specifically that, but maybe something like that. I could see it happening. Again, just all ideas. Let's see, I mean, Kalos XY are like only Pokemon games that did not get some kind of third version, so it could be cool to go back to post-game in Generation 8. I think I've mentioned that I don't exactly expect us getting like a full post game in Kalos, but I definitely do think that, again, we'll see some sort of connection in some way. something as small as like cameos of characters. Specifically, I think Professor Sycamore we could see, because that might be neat if we get to hear his theme again and all nice and remastered for the Switch. That might be cool. But again, that was a big thing in that X and Y, we didn't get a Z version. I briefly talked about, that was like a year ago, where I talked about what if we got a Z version. But for the most part, Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire was basically Z version, and then everything we didn't get in Z version was in Sun and Moon with the complete form Zygarde. But still, we never ever got the Eternal Flower Floette, which I really hope we get that in Generation 8. Maybe I'll talk about that again if we get anything from there. Let's see. I hope it's connected. Let's see, their last comment was from Jaden. This comment is from SN. I'm sorry, my screen isn't friendly, but I mean you can see the comments here as I'm reading them. Let's see, I hope it's connected. If we see Galar southern areas, there's a river down there, and we see left in Kalos map. There are 2 rivers basically connected. I don't know. Let's see. They said it all comes together. They didn't say when, says Peter Master. Okay. Let's see. Frosty here, talking about seeing Gen 5 Pokemon in the clouds. Okay. Which, with like cloud shapes and maps, that was something that we've seen like before. Sriracha Kanto says, what if Galar region is actually positioned horizontal on the Pokemon world map and happens to actually be connected to the eastern part of Kalos? Okay, I see. I don't know. That's the thing, though. I think for the most part, like all the maps, that was something I don't know if I mentioned. No, I didn't mention it in the video. But that was definitely a point that I saw brought up by some people talking online. What if, it's turned this way and this way is connected that? For the most part, I think the maps, as they're presented to us, they're basically, always always oriented in this is north for sure, this south for sure. Mostly because of the geography that we see, or like the, geography. Because, generally like snowier regions up north. Well, for one thing, the Galar region is, from what I'm hearing, is that it's like England flipped upside down. From people who actually know the region, not the Galar region, who actually know England and everything. Which is interesting because for the most part, every other Pokemon region is basically like one for one, and I'm seeing how like terribly curved my fingers are in real life, but is basically oriented right ways up. I think there's like one exception here and there. I can't remember which region it was, but typically that's, I don't know how, likely that might be. Right here, Shamey Ethert, I hope at heart, I hope I'm pronouncing your guys' usernames correctly, says, wasn't there a train station in Kalos that you couldn't use, but it's supposed to take you somewhere? I think that's a great point. This was one of the biggest things that in the comments, which is, again, I just love getting great comments from all you great viewers. But, because it brings up just things that I don't think about necessarily at first. And, again, that's why I like doing live streams better, which I got to try and get back to. But that is a good point. There was that train station in Kalos that we just knew nothing about. It was just there, and we couldn't use it at all. So, with Galar region just having a bunch of trains everywhere, what if that's the connection? I think that's very good. The thing is, though, let me see. How is the... Let's see. It's oriented like this way across like the Kalos region. So that's the thing, though. In terms of like how you position these, it really doesn't exactly make a whole lot of sense. And I mean, maybe it could just be something that they implemented later, because we don't know how far in advance they specifically planned these. Because say like the development of Pokemon XY, say that was going on 2012, right? A year before it released. That was 7 years ago. Shoot, yeah, that was 7 years ago, dang it. And so 7 years ago before this game is being, or 6 years ago, say, before Sword and Shield are being developed, give or take. Is that something that they would necessarily plan ahead, to be able to put into Kalos? Maybe it's something that you just added here in Kalos, and then, or they had in Kalos, not necessarily thinking of having it connect to Galar, and then in Galar they think that maybe that's a connection that could work out. I don't know. This comment right here by the 151 I think is pretty cool. It says, what if Galar region used armored Pokemon, which is, connects to another rumor that we'd been talking about. That's like the only rumor I've really discussed, because all the other ones are pretty trash, honestly, in my opinion. But for the most part, the whole idea is that what if we're getting, armored Pokemon in this game as like alternate forms or something. Point is, the comment says, what if Galar region used armored Pokemon to help fight off Mega Evolution from Kalos from the war because Mega Pokemon were powerful, and they found Meltan, which helped them make something awesome armor to help fight the Mega Pokemon XY based off of France. Galar is based in UK. They don't really like each other. I don't exactly know how how the real life relation of like UK and France is. All I know is the World Cup. But for the most part, I think that this is a great idea. It was implied, right? But this is the big thing, a big idea. Like, what if that 3,000 year ago war, like that war from 3,000 years ago that was mentioned in X and Y, what if that war was between Galar and Kalos? It could be. For one thing, though, during the time of the war, I don't think Mega Evolutions existed during the war 3,000 years ago. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that was the events of that war that caused Mega Evolution, that caused like the timeline split between like Mega Evolution and stuff. I know specifically Mega Stones were created from Xerneas and Yveltal, just them emanating like magical power, I guess, that mutated or that just like changed regular stones into Mega Stones. But I know for sure that the cataclysmic event from the war that ended the war 3,000 years ago, that specifically split the timeline, or it was one of the big factors that like split the timelines basically. Is that fact, or was that from a theory? I can't even remember. I can't even remember if this was fact or if it was from my own theory. But point is, I don't know if entirely. We need to double check that. We need to look that up. But that's the thing. So if Mega Evolutions existed during this war, then like that's it. That's like a big thing into Armored Evolutions. The whole Armored Evolution versus Mega Evolution, or Armored Pokemon versus Mega Evolution. I don't know how strong that could be. That's like a good idea. But definitely, I think the big theory is like, what if Galar and Kalos were in war with each other? And that's something that's kind of been in Pokemon, just war in general. And again, it's something I've mentioned with Lieutenant Surge saying like, oh yeah, electric Pokemon saved me in the war. And so it's like, oh well, what war did Kanto go, or like what country did Kanto go to war with? Like the funny thing is, like, we've heard war mentioned twice in the Pokemon games, and there's been nothing of like, oh yeah, it was that region right down there. With Pokemon, we like to think that everybody can be friends all the time, except for like the evil team, in which case they're always wrong and they always just get beaten. But I mean, that would be crazy interesting if that's the case. I don't necessarily think that that's the dynamic they're going to put into play. I think for the most part, the war 3,000 years ago was meant to be just like two parts of Kalos, maybe. Maybe it was Southern Kalos going to war with Northern Kalos. But that would definitely be interesting if that were the case. Again, I don't think that's going to happen because it'll be like a whole thing of like, oh yeah, there was a big war between us like 3,000 years ago, and your guy used like a giant weapon that basically just killed a bunch of Pokemon and people and whatnot. Oh hey, but yeah, you can still trade with people from our region. You can still travel to our region. There's still that's a good idea. It's a good not fun idea, but that's a neat theory. I don't know how possible that's going to be, or whether they're going to implement it, and that's the whole thing. If Galar and Kalos are connected, how far are they going to go into the history? Are they going to, implement them in that sort of way, in that sort of connection? And for the most part, those are kind of all the interesting comments that I want to talk about. Ignore the one that said gay Rex. That wasn't at all interesting. But if by chance there's something else you want to reiterate, or maybe there's some better theories that you've developed, go ahead and leave them in the comments of this video. I probably won't be making another video just talking about even more comments. And this is something that I don't normally do. It's not like a traditional type of video that I do, like comment responses. But I mean, if that's something that you'd like to see for like bigger theory videos, maybe that could be something where like I write out theories, I talk about them, and then anything else that I don't catch or any comments that you guys have, I could respond to them in a separate video. Let me know if that's something you'd like to see. And of course, going forward into Sword and Shield, let me know other types of videos that you'd like to see me make, and just topics that you think I should talk about. Again, just getting back into things. Been an interesting week, but it's definitely been a fun week. If you want to know any more about that, I don't know. I suppose my Twitter might be the place to figure out about that. Or hey, the podcast that's up right now. And yes, I'm pointing in the right spot for the card, because it's really cool. The podcast is fun. the GatorX podcast. It's over on GatorX Plays, where I'm also posting gameplay videos. I also recorded some gameplay videos with my friends who are on the podcast. We played Fortnite. It was terrible. That video is probably going to be up later this week, but it just means so much that you guys support the podcast. And again, these videos too, like, I was so happy to see all these great comments and just like further discussion of just Pokemon, which I love talking Pokemon. You can't get me to stop talking Pokemon, unless it's time for the video to end. But point is, if you enjoyed the content, remember to leave a like and subscribe to show your support. If you think I should wear my Snuggie in more videos, let me know. Or if you think I should go back to the Pokeball blanket, let me know. Again, leave a comment down below to let me know what you think. We'll continue the discussion down there. Leave a like, subscribe, enable notifications by clicking the bell icon. This will make you a member of the Snuggie Chingling squad. Anyway, this has been GatorX. Have a nice day.